Hello students, so welcome to this online course of hydraulics engineering. So in the previous lecture of this subject we have derived the equation for the shear stress in turbulent flow. So it was the summation of turbulent flow due to viscous flow, and there was the component of turbulence also. So let us move forward and let us discuss how we are going to calculate the velocity. So today we are going to discuss the velocity distribution for turbulent flow in the pipes. So we were having a tau in terms of L and dv by dt was there. So velocity we have to find. So we have to establish the relation of L with some known parameters. So L was what? It was mixing length. It was defined by Prandtl. Okay. So Reynolds gave the equation and Prandtl has discovered this mixing length concept. So for turbulent flow in circular pipes, Prandtl assumed the mixing length L to be linear function of y. Okay. So what he did, he proposed that L is a linear function of y. Y is from pipe ball. So that means L is proportional to y. L is proportional to y, and when this proportionality sign is going to be replaced, so one constant of proportionality will come, and it was k. It is not exactly k, it is kappa in Greek letter kappa. So we will say this is k only, and it is a constant of proportionality, and it is known as Karman universal constant. So we will see what is its value. So now it is a constant, so L is a function of y only. So wherever L term of L is there, we can replace it by k times y, and then we will easily able to calculate the value of velocity, and we can see the distribution also, how it is going to be vary throughout the pipe diameter, cross section of pipe, how it is going to vary. So the Prandtl's hypothesis L is equal to ky has been confirmed for the regions very close to pipe boundary. Okay, and who confirmed this? It was confirmed by the experimental studies of J. Nikuradse. Okay, and he was student of Prandtl only. So he took his theory forward, and he confirmed that L is equal to ky is very much exist in the flow. Now if we are we have the formula also, we have been confirmation also by the experiments. So what is required now? We have to derive the equation, and we will see how velocity is going to vary. So Nikoradse used smooth pipes as well as pipes which were artificially roughened, okay, by the cemented coating of sand grains of uniform size. So he did experiment for smooth as well as the rough pipe. So if the equation is following both the situation, that means it is a universal equation, because he did experiment for both the conditions. So in like any situation, either the surface is smooth or it can be termed as rough. So if it is the equation is applied to both the condition, then it is universal equation. Now the analysis of Nikoradse experiment result has shown that in the immediate neighborhood of pipe boundary, so if some pipe is there, okay, flow is here, okay, so flow is through this, so these are the boundaries of pipe. Okay, so he did his experiment considering the regions very near to pipe boundary. So what he was getting, he get L is equal to 0.4 times y minus 0.44 y square by r. Okay, so he got this value of L for like boundary for the condition for the places which were very close to boundary. So if the condition is like we are very close to boundary, then what is going to happen? Y is very very small. In the vicinity of boundary, it is almost equal to 0. So if y is very small, then y square will be much more smaller than y. So For practical purposes we can easily neglect this term, y square term, and we can get L is equal to 0.4 times y. Okay, so it is not exact, but very much difference is not from the reality if we are using L is equal to 0.4 y, because y square is very very small. Clear? So if you will compare this equation to this equation, what you are going to get, Karman universal constant is having value of 0.4, k is equal to 0.4, so L is equal to 0.4 times y. This we have established till now. So what else now? Just put the value of L and try to see how tau is varying with v, or we can see the variation of v with respect to other parameters. Now we are substituting the value of, so we got this in the previous lecture. If you have not seen, just go through it. So we have neglected the viscous term here. You can see like it was having one more term, mu times dv by dy, so we have neglected that, and only we are considering the turbulent component, because this parameter whatever is coming to be, it is very very less as compared to this parameter. Clear? Now tau is also a variable quantity, so we have to fix it also before going forward to establish the relationship for velocity with respect to y. How we are going to do that? Since the turbulent shear stress also varies linearly with radius, it can be expressed as tau is equal to tau naught times y by r. Okay, or tau naught, y is what? Y is, if this is your pipe, so this is your center, this is your radius. Okay, some point is here, it is at distance y. Clear? So y is what? If you are coming from this side, it is y, and if you are coming from this side, this is r minus y. Clear? So it can be in both ways, you can write the equation. So tau can be written as tau naught r minus y by r, or tau naught 1 minus y by r. If you are at the boundary, y is what? 0, so tau will become tau naught. Clear? So for small values of y that is close to pi boundaries, the shear stress tau may be assumed to be constant, and it will be equal to tau naught, as we have seen by putting value of y as 0. Now we have established all the parameters into some known quantities. So tau naught is equal to rho k square y square dv by dy whole square. What we are going to do, we want to see the velocity distribution. So what we have to do, we have to see how dv by dv is going to vary. Okay, so dv by dv is in square, so what we have done, we have taken square root both the sides. Here we have taken the square root in both the sides, so what is going to be there, root tau naught, and this whole term will become root, so this is going to be there. Now k square y square dv by dy, these are the square terms, so they will come exactly outside, and rho is like it is single row, so it will be in root, so root tau. Now so how dv by dv is going to be, dv by dv is root tau naught upon root rho into k times y. So you can see from here also. Now root tau naught by rho, if you are going to see the, if you have studied the laminar flow, you might have seen this equation there also. So root tau naught by rho is nothing but it is having a parameter of velocity. Okay, it is not a velocity, but being it is having the parameter of dimensions of velocity, I can show you here also. So tau is what? Force is what? Tau is stress is Newton per meter square, and what is rho is kg per meter cube. Okay, so this will become what? Newton by kg into meter. Now Newton is what? Kg into meter per second square, kg into meter divided by per second square. So kg will cancel out. So what is this? Meter square second square, but overall root is there, so it will become meter per second. So it is coming out to be a a quantity which is having a dimensions of velocity. It is not a velocity, it is a fictitious quantity. Okay, in reality it is not going to be like it is some velocity, it is a fictitious quantity to which we are denoting it as, because tau naught is constant, rho is constant, so it will be some constant. And being a dimension, being it is having a dimension of velocity, we are telling it as a shear velocity, which we are going to denote by v star. Okay, so this v star is nothing but tau naught by rho. Since the expression root tau naught by rho has the dimension of velocity, it is known as shear velocity and denoted by v star. Okay, so you have to be very clear, this is not any velocity, it is a fictitious quantity which is having a dimensions of velocity. That is why for our calculation, to make simple, we are replacing it with other parameter, which is v star. Being tau naught and rho constant, it will be a constant, so we are telling it as, we have denoted it as what, a velocity which we are telling as shear velocity. So I hope this is clear up to you up till now. Now we have to just integrate it because all the parameters we are knowing. So dv by dt is 1 by k times y into u star. So u star is constant, y is the variable here, k is constant. So what we are going to do, we will take y terms one side and v terms one side. So this was there, so we have taken y, dy by dy is what, natural log or ln y. So v is this is the variation of v, okay, along the cross section of the what, pipe in which the flow is happening. So v star by k ln y plus c, log natural log y plus c. So we have to completely define this distribution, we have to find c. C can be calculated as with the help of boundary conditions. So what is boundary conditions? At the boundary, either if we are putting we are taking boundary, then we have to put y as 0. If we are putting y as 0, then we are not able to calculate the equation because ln of log of 0 is not defined. So we have to check for other boundary condition. So at the center, we know that the velocity is maximum. Clear, because there is the least resistance is there, so velocity will be maximum. So at y is equal to r, velocity will be maximum. So this boundary condition we are going to use. So we will get c as v max minus v star by k ln r. So this is our boundary condition. At y is equal to r, v is maximum. Put the value of c here. So finally we will get what, v minus, this is our final equation, from where 2.5 is coming, 1 by 0.4, because k is 0.4. So v minus v max is equal to 2.5 v star log ln y by r. This is your final equation, and from here also you can see the velocity distribution is logarithmic, which we were knowing. Okay, so in turbulent flow the velocity distribution is logarithmic in nature. Or the other way of representing this equation is to make it as what, dimensionless parameter, okay, non-dimensional form or dimensionless form. So what we are going to do, we will divide both side by v star and we will get v minus v max divided by v star is 2.5 ln y by r. So this equation is very important, and this equation is valid for both the cases, for hydrodynamically smooth surface and hydrodynamically smooth boundary. We are talking about boundary. If boundary is rough, then also we can use, because up till now we have not made any type of assumption regarding the boundary surface. So this is valid for both. Now let us understand what is hydrodynamically rough and what is hydrodynamically smooth boundaries. So in general, a boundary with irregularities of large average height. So what is this average height? So if you are having if you will see a rough or any boundary, you will see this kind of undulations are there. Okay, so it will be like somewhere we can add all the heights and we will get the average height, which is denoted by k. Okay, so k is the average height of the boundary. The surface is having average height of k. If you want to replace this whole boundary by one single height, that height will be k. So in general boundary with irregularities of large average height k, on its surface is considered to be rough. Okay, if K is very high, that means there are so many undulation, that means so many the roughness friction will be higher, so K will be more. And that type of term if the K value is more, then the boundary is rough, and if K value is small, then the boundary is smooth. However, for a proper classification of smooth and rough boundaries, the flow and fluid characteristics are required to be considered in addition to the boundary characteristic, because in the fluid flow, the fluid is having also viscosity is there, so we have to consider the flow parameter, flow type, the fluid which is flowing, and the boundary on which we are going to see the effect. So all this value we have to take care before, like, to classify the or to determine the flow in more accurate manner. So let us consider a boundary such that the average height K of the irregularities projecting from its surface is much less than the thickness of the laminar sublayer delta dash. So laminar sublayer you must be knowing from your laminar flow topic in the previous semester. If you don't know, it is like in any kind of flow, it is laminar or turbulent. Basically in turbulent flow, near the boundary due to high viscosity, the flow is laminar, and the depth of or the height of that layer is termed as laminar sublayer. So for time being, I am assuming that you must be knowing this term laminar sublayer, because you have already studied laminar flow in your previous semester. If you are having some problem, please go through the lectures which were taught in the previous semester. So as the flow outside the laminar sublayer is turbulent, so in turbulent flow, let me just show you. If this is your turbulent flow, so near boundary due to high viscosity effect will be higher here. So here the flow is in, here the turbulent flow is there, and here laminar flow is there, and its height is denoted by delta dash, that is laminar sublayer. As the flow is of outside diameter, the outside the laminar sublayer is turbulent, eddies of various sizes are present which try to penetrate through the laminar sublayer. Eddies will try to cause the disturbance inside the laminar sublayer, but due to greater thickness of the laminar sublayer, the eddies cannot reach the surface irregularities, and thus the boundary act as a smooth boundary. Okay, if the irregulation K value is more, then it is very much tough for eddies to penetrate the laminar sublayer. Then what is going to happen? Then the boundary will behave as what? Smooth boundary. Clear? Such a boundary is known as hydrodynamically smooth boundary. And with the increase of Reynolds number, the thickness of laminar sublayer decreases, and it can even become much smaller than the average height K of surface irregularity. You can see in the diagram number 2, this diagram. Here you can see this is 2 and this was first. Okay, so this is smooth boundary and this is rough boundary. Okay, so you can see delta dash is very small here. Clear? So the irregularities will then project through the laminar sublayer, and the laminar sublayer is completely destroyed. For rough boundaries, there is no laminar sublayer. Okay, it will be destroyed by the eddies due to its very small laminar sublayer depth. The eddies will thus come in contact with the surface irregularities, and large amount of energy loss will take place. Such a boundary is known as hydrodynamically rough boundary, and it was experimentally shown by Nicoratse by experiment that if K by delta dash is less than 0.25, then the boundary is smooth. If K by delta dash is greater than 6, the boundary is rough, and if it is in between, then the boundary is in transition. It is trying to become rough from smooth. Okay, so this is all for today. Thank you.